And you know what? This has been a part of the Hurricane Center's look, the 5 to 4, that jumped down to 3. I think it had been a part of previous National Hurricane Center guidance. And now the timing's also sped up a little bit too, as we're looking, last couple of runs, we were talking about something around 2 a.m. This would have a landfall, if you just extrapolate out time, just off the coast at 8 p.m. You're talking about, a 10, 11 o'clock in the evening landfall there just south of Tampa. There's the St. Pete area, Port Charlotte getting a brunt of surge. So with this track, things seem to be, this is, Lee, agree or disagree, we're pretty well locked in at this point.
Yeah, I think so. And that was actually one of the questions we got on our Weather Watchers page, a couple of them having to do with, is the track pretty set now? Any chance of it curving? Could it wobble again? Could it move north? But yeah, I think we're
running out of time.
Right.
Any wobble, and I think the Hurricane Center, and that's why the cone still exists. They haven't just taken it off. There's still a 20 to 30 mile margin of error that absolutely could happen to the north or to the south. But for our impacts, that doesn't really matter. And if you look at this infrared picture, the satellite imagery with the storm, you're starting to see a little lopsidedness. And again, this part of the forecast, in fact, the Hurricane Center and our own forecasting saying that we thought this was going to become awfully north lopsided, which is what we're seeing right now and why we're seeing so much rain already around the first coast.
Yeah, and it's just still such a monster of a storm, even though it is, those winds are starting to come down a bit. We lost its eye there.
Yep. You see that burst. We were talking, Lee and I were talking about that burst of energy right there, kind of on the loop that happens in what seems to be perhaps a replacement cycle. What these eye walls go through, the terminology is eye wall replacement. As that happens, you may get a little bit of weakening before another burst of energy, but also some broadening of the storm. Again, none of that really impacts what effects we'll be feeling right now. And you notice there we've got a couple of 3, in fact, tornado warnings. We've seen some, have you seen the pictures out of
crossing of Alligator Alley?
Yes. Some folks in Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers have been sharing these the wild pictures of some really impressive looking tornadoes.
And for our area, for the First Coast specifically, we could have a very isolated threat. There might be an isolated brief spin up in our area, but really the threat of tornadoes to our south, where you're seeing those tornado warnings now and up into the Orlando area. Yeah,
it's something to have in mind. And again, isolated risk, we're on the north side, the left side of the storm as opposed to the right side. That's generally where you see the greater risk of tornadoes, which is what's happening in Alligator Alley right now in the Everglades. But you got to have it in your mind, because anytime you get these cells like you're seeing coming on shore there in St. Augustine Beach, and you get the friction that really goes on coming on land, I wouldn't be surprised if there were water spouts that came on land there. We were talking about this a few moments ago there on First Coast Living. We're already seeing some pretty high rainfall rates. I know you were kind of tracking that there for Hastings and Palatka, right?
Right, and so for the Hastings area, we're seeing flooding there. Also Crescent Beach, we're already getting some flooding there too. So we'll actually have crews on the ground reporting from those areas as well in our 12 o'clock newscast. But it's just really unfortunate already that we're getting this much rain. It's only, 11:30 right now. Right. And so we're going to expect rain for maybe up to 24 more hours.
And in gusts too. I mean, so we're getting the 25 mile an hour gusts. We've been getting a lot of wind lately last week anyway, but this is just going to build. You got those, and then zooming down, just see what's happening in the Tampa area right now. Those 46 mile an hour gusts for Venice, 38 Punta Gorda, 38. Those are obviously going to be much, much higher as that storm gets closer with 135, 140 mile an hour wind potential within that eye wall there. So I don't know if you could take this one full for us, and then we'll take some questions too. So your big impact, still thinking late tonight. So really it's an overnight while many people would be sleeping. So we're going to say Wednesday late night into that midnight to lunch hour is going to be our worst impacts. But we're already getting the waves of rain, right? So we know our rainfall rates are climbing. We've got the strong northeast gusts that are going to be happening. Storm surge is going to be an issue for coastal areas, and the St. Johns River, the Intracoastal Waterway, the tributaries, the marshes, the creeks. So tonight's the night that we got to be in our safe space. So Lee, let's come back to it. What do you think if you have any questions?
We do have some questions. I also am just looking through some storm reports so far, just hitting it off the top. Mayport, 43 mile per hour again, at the beginning of this event. And some of the rain that we've seen, St. Augustine Beach has already had 3.21 inches of rain. Let's see here, Elkton in St. Johns County, 4.64 inches of rain, already almost 5 inches of rain. 4.92 inches of rain in Bakersville, St. Johns County. So now getting over to our questions, because we did ask you on the Weather Watchers page, and if you're watching right now, please go to First Coast News Weather Watchers and submit your comments or questions. But right now we had an interesting question. Why is Nassau County's impacts less severe than other parts of the First Coast, yet we are under a hurricane watch?
Okay, good question. So the hurricane watch isn't important anymore. The nomenclature doesn't matter anymore because the terminology watch means you would have the conditions within 48 hours. That's been adjusted now to where Nassau County is in that tropical storm warning. So warning being more imminent, a 36-hour out, and obviously we're way less than that out. That would be tonight. Whether it's the tropical storm force conditions or the waves of rain that you're going to be getting in Nassau County, your impacts are kind of locked in. And I think the lower impacts mainly because just mileage away from the real center of this. Now this, as we were talking about, this is a north heavy storm. So as I put the computer modeling into forecast, I mean, listen, a lot of the waves of rain, heaviest stuff, if you look at kind of this particular forecast, Palm Coast, where we're talking about the hurricane warning, St. Johns County, St. Augustine getting pounded through the evening and the morning. That's where the hurricane warning is. If you zoom up and you kind of just take and granted, a lot of these computer modeling, it's not super precise with exact location, but you can draw a pretty good line. And you can see some of the things coming into Fernandina, good, strong, gusty winds with that storm surge potential, but just not quite to the level of what we anticipate seeing Putnam County, Flagler County, and St. Johns County, Lee.
All right, so this is a longer question.
Sure.
I feel like it kind of answers itself too, but so how often historically has a hurricane originated in the Western Gulf and then moved over to the east with such a magnitude? I know you will say Milton is unprecedented, but what exactly are the stats? Also, I understand Gulf waters are warmer and we do have a nor'easter, but how did it go from a Cat 1 to a Cat 4 in less than 24 hours? I believe it even went to a Cat 5.
Yeah, it got to Cat 5. So it compares to Wilma, I think, would be the only one, really, the 05 storm Wilma, which Floridians, especially in South Florida, would remember kind of vividly. So we're in unprecedented kind of sea surface temperatures, right? So extraordinarily warm sea surface temperatures, an environment of very low shear at the time. So, I mean, just extremely perfect conditions for a lot of convection, so a lot of kind of evaporative energy, then condensing within the cloud, creating all kinds of latent heat release, which, you know, that's what creates essentially the nuclear bomb energy of what happened here with this hurricane lane.
That's what I was saying. I think he answered it. He says he knows the waters are warm, and that's the reason why. It's its energy. It's like it went to an all-you-can-eat buffet and ate everything it could and fueled up.
Sounds good. I'm starving.
I can use some coffee.
Yeah, so, and as far as, and I'm going to be just brutally honest, you know, without having my diary right here in front of me and the almanac, as far as west to east movers, there's been a series of them. It happens. I just don't have that information from me. So maybe it's something we can get for our next hit, or maybe we'll tap old Papa Tim Deegan on the shoulder and see what he has to say. But unless you had other thoughts in your mind about that.
So I'm trying to just find the stats right now. I believe the way it rapidly intensified, I think it was the third fastest intensifying hurricane. I was just trying to find the stats on.
Wilma and Felix were up there. I know the Hurricane Center had Wilma and Felix when it was still at the 4 strength. But when it got to 5, I think it kind of took that Felix storm out of the water, and it's just kind of your lone 2. As far as really when we were talking about pressure drop. Now wind speed increased as well. I think it went 92 mile an hour increase in speed in about 4 hours time. But then also your drop in pressure was bomb-like, literally.
And I know since Wilma, this is the strongest later season hurricane that we've had. And what a season. We had the earliest Cat 5 on record, and now here we are with Milton as well. So just a record-breaking and scary season.
All right, tides are important as we're talking about surges. So the Main Street Bridge 3 o'clock this morning, so overnight, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Jack's Beach, 1:40 in the morning, 2:18 in the afternoon. And if you go back to watch the stream, pause this so you can see a little bit more of it. So generally speaking, unless you're upriver, like Main Street Bridge downtown Jacksonville or Palatka, way upriver, your high tides are going to be between 1:30 and 2:30 in the morning, and then again 1:30 and 2:30 in the afternoon. So those are going to be the main times to watch for surges. And again, Palatka 8:30 a.m., but you're way upriver. So I'm going to let Lee take the controls here. I had my county by county. I thought it didn't. I'm bummed.
No county by county.
No county by county. So I guess,
Okay.
Lee,
we know it.
we got it. Yeah, if you want to kind of sum that up for them, I know we're going to go get ready for the noon broadcast and kind of leave
Yep.
folks with that.
We also will have an update for you all at 11:35 on First Coast Living.
Okay.
But just since you're talking about surge, 3 to 5 feet for coastal areas, 2 to 4 possible along the St. Johns River. We have a question here about possible storm surge in San Marcos, so 2 to 4 inches of surge possible along the St. Johns River there. But we are out of time, unfortunately. So tune into First Coast Living, and then of course we'll be back at 12 o'clock with your latest update. We'll have a new position as well from the National Hurricane Center 12 o'clock update. So we'll be back with that.